Hello, Bubblers. My name is John, and I'm going to talk to you today about making a dynamic questionnaire in Bubble. Full disclosure, I actually did this video a couple of hours ago, and I did something or another that crashed out my video software. So you are getting version 2, which will in every way be superior to the original version. So just a couple of things before we start. Again, this is creating a questionnaire and saving the answers in Bubble, being able to go back and revisit those. This is an approach that the approach I'm going to take is an approach that works really well if you've got multiple sets of different questions or data points. So if you're creating, say, a little pop-up questionnaire for your website, this is a good way to approach that. Storing different sets of answers for different users, and most importantly, this is a way to store qualitative data rather than quantitative data. So what I mean by that, if that's just gibberish, qualitative data is going to be kind of emotional or expressive answers to questions like how are you feeling or something like that, or do you like this, things like that. It's not going to be data that you can roll up and do some sort of analytics or put together metrics. It's not numerical in that sense. That would be quantitative data. That's not the approach that we're taking today. So that being said, I've got a new application that I've started here. And I'm going to create a couple of groups. I should also say that I'm really trying to find the balance between moving quickly and having the video be super long. So I am going to try to go quickly. I'm going to explain as much as I can. And if it's too long, please give me that feedback. Or if it's not long enough, give me that feedback as well. So I'm going to create a group here. I'm not going to rename it just yet. I almost renamed it, but I'm not going to. I am going to give it a shadow here. And I think that's going to be it for now. I'm going to add some text here and make this an H3 or a header 3, I should say. And I'm going to move this over and I'm going to line this with Shift and my arrow keys so that kind of blocks me from going outside of the group here. It's probably good. All right, shrink that down a little bit. So I am going to be using these for input as well. So for creating questions, and I am going to make that happen, obviously, by adding an input here. We need a way to save that, so I'm going to add an icon that we will use to save. And here I'm going to search for just a save icon, and I'm going to get the little floppy. I haven't seen a real floppy since like 94, something like that. I kind of miss those sometimes. I said 32 there. I actually meant to do like 24. So I'm going to change this to 24 also. So we've got a 20 by 24 here. All right. And yep, that's a respectable try. I'm going to add a repeating group so that we can see the results. And I'm going to center that horizontally. I'm going to make this 5. We probably don't. We'll make it 6 because I'm feeling crazy that way. I'm going to give this a solid separator instead of a dashed separator. And one more thing I'm going to do down here is I'm going to make it a solid border. I'm going to give a roundness of 5 and a weight of 2. So I think that looks a little nicer. I'll pull this in so that these are basically aligned. Okay, I'm going to add some text in here. So I've created a repeating grid. I'm adding text in it. So if you don't know, a repeating grid is a way of surfacing data repetitively. So close, okay. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to pull from my table or my things, and it's going to, for each thing, it's going to add a little row here. So I could set this up to be rows like this. I could set it up to be columns. For our purposes right now, rows are better. I'm going to change this to 15 and 15. That's a little smallish, but that's okay for now. And I'm going to leave some space here because there may be a scroll bar, so maybe I'll even pull this in a little bit. So that's good enough for the time being. And I'm going to make a couple of copies of this. So we're going to have four little groups here. We're going to have a question group. So we're going to be able to have different collections of questions, might be another way of saying that. Our actual questions, our answers, a place to give answers about those questions, and then what the result is from there. So I'm just going to make some copies of this. You'll want to deselect your group when you paste, because otherwise you could potentially paste right into the group and you'll just have one group and another group, and that's not what we really want here. Okay, so I'm going to bring this one down here, and one more time, and this one over here. All right. So I already kind of know what I want to accomplish with these, and that being the case, I can clear out some of the stuff. So for this one, I can get rid of the saves and even the inputs here. Whoops. And good, I think I'm going to leave it for that for now, and I'm going to come over to the data. I'm going to create a new data type called question group. I'm going to create one called question, and I'm going to create one called results, and that's where those answers, whoops, result. That's where those answers are going to be stored. I suggest you always give your data types a singular name. I came from the Ruby on Rails world a few years ago, and we would always, with tables, those would be considered plural, and then a single row or a record in that table would be singular. And then I learned over time that when I look at my app data, it will make these plural. So my data type, and it ends up being really weird. It does not recognize if these are already plural. So you would have like two S's in the end of each of these, and that's why these are singular here. So question group, I'm only going to give a name right now, and we're going to make that text. And I'm going to go into question, and I'm going to give this a question group, and I'm going to make that a question group. We're going to create another field called verbiage, and I'm going to make that text. That could be also question or name or something like that. That's just what the question is going to be. And then I'm going to give this an answer, which will also be text. I'm going to go back to my question group now, and we're gonna tie these together and have a reference in both directions. So in my question group, I'm now going to add questions. I'm going to make this a question. Notice plural, singular, and I'm going to make it a list. So now this can be a collection or a list of questions that can live inside of this question group. We're probably not actually going to use that today, but it's a good practice to make those reference each other. In results, because we still want to group those together by the question group, I'm going to add question group and make that a question group. And then I'm going to add answers, and I'm going to make this type question and also a list. Okay, I think that's all we've got to do for our data here. I'm going to come to this first group, and I'm going to change this and call this group question GRP, because group question group is weird. I'm going to make this a question group, and I'm just going to select them all. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to make this a question group. I didn't even really need to set that. I am going to set this. Before I do that, though, I'm going to come back. I selected the group again, group question group. Let's just do the groups first. So group question group. I'm got the next group questions. Next group is going to be group answers. The last one is going to be group results. To make this visually easier, let's change these labels. Text, question groups. Next one is going to be questions. Next one's going to be, I bet you can guess, misspelled answers. Answers. And last but not least, results. Right. Moving on. So now in my group question group, I'm going to add a custom state. So I hit this little I. That's not information, that's element inspector. And I'm going to create a custom state, which is basically a variable that I can attach to any element. So I'm going to make this current question group, and I'm going to make this of a type question group. Okay. Now I'm going to change my inputs. So input question group. In question, we're going to input question, and that's it for now. With these little icons, I do want some sort of, no, I don't need to do a hover. I was going to add a hover effect. We'll do that in another video for the sake of time. I'm going to skip that. But I am going to set up my events. So when you click this little icon, which I need to rename, we're going to say data, create new thing. And we're going to create a question group. And we're going to set the name equals input question groups value. Great. We're not going to set anything else right now. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the inputs. One of the reasons we have this all in a group is because it will know that these are together and it will reset this. So I could add an alert here and say, hey, guess what? You saved your question group. Congratulations, or something like that. I'm not going to for the sake of speed. So now I'm going to set, and actually I want to do one more thing here. So two more things here. I'm going to open this back up. This is a save. I like to color code. Saving is green in my world. So in addition to doing this, I'm actually going to go to set state, and I'm going to set the state of group question group, and current group is going to become the results of step one. So this group that we created here is going to be assigned to this questions group, and we're going to refer back to that again and again. Now then, we're going to say that this repeating group is also of type question group, and the data source, we're going to do a search for every question group we have. You could filter that in other ways if you wanted to. I don't actually even need this. I don't know why I'm doing it. I do want to sort by name, and that's going to be alphabetical, so descending is no. And that should be all we need here. So we're going to set this text, go to insert dynamic data, question groups, name. That's all we need here. And this little guy, going to start and edit the workflow. This is going to be a delete, so color is red. And we're going to data, delete thing, current cells, question group. Okay, so now we can create and delete, and we should see the name here. And let's just try it that far. Let's see what we've got. So we're going to fire up our test version. And question groups. Brooklyn 9 questions. Robotech. Whoops, Robotoec questions. Okay, and you can see when I hit the save, it does clear this out. I've got my questions here, and I can clear those out as well by clicking there. So far so good. I want to add an event now to one thing I'm going to do quickly. Save question group. I'm only going to do this for the sake of time on this first group, and otherwise we're just going to use the default font awesome icon names here. Delete question group. All right, so this current cell, we're going to start workflow, and we're going to make this blue because this is just an event. It's not saving or deleting anything. We are going to say that when that is clicked, we want to set state, repeating, nope, group question groups, current question group equals current cells question group. So why did we do that? What we've done is when this is clicked, it sets this group's current question group to the one that was clicked. We did that so that we could set that to different groups. So you could choose the group here and it will reflect through the rest of the application as a result. And now I'm going to come in and set a condition here. I'm going to say when the current cells question group just is group question groups, current question group, the font color, there we go, is something other than black. It is going to be red and bold. And I'm not going to set a transition on that. So when we click on this, it should change color and set that to that specific group. So let's see if that happens. We'll have to create more than one group and we'll give it a try. Okay, fun questions, serious questions. Okay, so it already toggled. We set it up so that it would default as it saves. It will set that as the current group. But now that we can see that it toggles as well. So great. We'll clear both of these out. And okay, I think we're good over here. And we'll move on to our questions now. So when this save icon is clicked, if you'll remember, we like colors, so I'm going to set that to green. You don't have to do that. You could set it to any color. You could set it to no color. That's just a thing that I do. I'm going to create a new thing. It's going to be a question, and that the verbiage is going to be the input questions value. Question group is going to be group question groups, current question group, and answer we're going to leave blank. And then I'm going to go to element, reset that. And we'll set up the delete here as well and wire this all together. So this is a deletion. This is going to be red. You're going to go to data, delete thing, current user. That's right. Nope, that's not what I wanted either. I want to think to delete is, oh, I don't have it. The issue that we're running into here is I don't have this repeating group associated with anything. So this repeating group doesn't have a type of content or data source. So if I change this to question and do a search for all questions where the question group is group question groups, current question group, order those jokers by the verbiage and in alphabetical, so non-descending order. Now we ought to be able to do something with that. So I go back to my workflow and let's see what we've got now. Delete thing. Current cells question. That's what we want. And so we're saving it. And let's actually see the question, insert dynamic data, current cells questions verbiage. Okay, so now if we try this, we should be able to set up question groups and we ought to be able to set up questions for each of those groups. So question groups, Brooklyn 99, Robotech. So in Robotech questions, Roy or Rick, who's the better leader? Skull, Squadron, or Vermilion? I think it was Vermilion. That's enough. So we've got two here. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there you go, the questions disappear. I don't know, Diaz or Gina, who would win a thumb war? Um, is Holt really that serious? Really? Okay, so I've got two question sets now. I've got questions associated with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've got questions associated with Robotech. Okay, so far so good. So now we're going to set up our answers. Which is this is going to give people the ability to answer our questionnaire. This is what you would actually surface on your website or however you wanted to use these questions. We've built this on the back end. This stuff lives in the dashboard. This one lives on the front end, on the user-facing side. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to add another custom state here. This is going to be questions, state type, question, and it's going to be a list, create, and I'm going to go back up here, and when, maybe I'm going to just jump into the workflow. So whenever, create a new question, oh, that's type question, question group. All right, so set the current, set state, yes, okay. So whenever this happens, I'm also going to set state group answers, custom state questions, and that's going to be do a search for all questions where question group equals group, whoops, group question groups, current question group. All right, so we're actually just creating a question group here, so we don't really have to do that, but I'm just adding it for consistency. I'm going to do the same thing down here. So this is where you click and you set up the current question group. Set state of group answers, custom state questions. Value is the current cells question group. Well, nope, that's not what I want because it's not a group. It's going to be a search again. Do a search for questions where question group equals group question group, question, yes, current question group, right? Yeah, group question group equals current question group, sort by verbiage, descending no, okay. Okay, so that one should actually give some results. And now I'm going to set this, I'm going to get rid of this delete because we're not going to delete anything here. This can be a little bit, whoops, not at all what I wanted. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. And this repeating group is going to be a type question. Data source is going to be group answers questions. And this is going to be the current cells questions verbiage. Now I'm going to add an input. And maybe I'll make these a little bit bigger. And make our repeating group a little bit bigger. All right, I've got my input behind it, it seems. So let's see if I can get that. Oh, no, I don't. Interesting. Group answers, input C, there it is. Which is interesting. I don't understand why this isn't appearing. Okay, I do see what's going on there. That's in my group. All right, so I want to maybe actually drop this in here now. There we go. All right, so I'll drag this over here and kind of line this guy up and make it a little bit bigger. So now that I've got this in here, I'm going to um, enable auto binding on parent elements thing, fields to modify, answer, and it's telling me I don't have any privacy restrictions, which is true. So I'm going to define a new role, and I'm going to say question answerer, because this is just a demo and we don't care so much about it. So this question is not empty. Allow auto binding on answer. Also for everyone, allow auto binding on for answer. So we ought to be good now. I come back over here. Yep, it's happy. So I've got this auto bound, and I'm going to do one more thing now. Here, I'm going to add a button to the group. And I'm going to make our group just a touch bigger to accommodate that. All right. Great. And we're going to say save answers. And when somebody clicks on that, that is a save. So that goes green. And we are going to create a new thing. We're going to create a result. And we're going to set question group is group question group. Current, great. And the answers are going to be set list to group answers questions. So what we've done is we've said when somebody clicks the save button, take that group of questions that we have associated with this group and that we have auto-bound these input boxes to, and save that whole list as part of the results. So we are capturing that whole list now. And last but not least, let's go ahead and wire up results, and hopefully we'll see something happen here. So the results is going to be type of content, question, and the data source is going to be a search for type result, where question group equals surprise, surprise, group question groups, current question group, order those by created date, descending, yes, and close this. And this data table is going to be type question. Actually, I didn't even need to do that here. I didn't need to do that. I could just do here, question, data source, do a search for, yeah, I did. I do need this to be question, do a search for results, and where the question group equals the group question group, current question group, and sort by created date, descending, yes. And what I needed to do here that I didn't do, this needs to be a single result rather than, because it's a group, it's a single result rather than multiple results. So what have I done here? All right, search for group content type is question. All right, so this should be a result. Now I can change this to question, and I want this to be parent groups, results, answers. Okay, so now I've got a list of questions here, and I can get rid of this guy. Edit me can be changed to the current cell's questions verbiage. And we're going to add, we'll spice that up a little bit. We'll make that like a header 5 or something. Style, oops. I had the whole group selected instead of the text. So we'll make this question a little bit bigger. And then we will add an answer to. I'm going to move this up here. Okay, so I'm going to grab text and drop it in here and kind of finagle it around a little bit. And of course I dropped it someplace I didn't want it to be. Nope, text F is what I want. There we go. So I'll shrink this down just a touch, shift and down, and then pull this over here. And we'll give that plenty of room. Okay, that should be good. So edit me can become the current cell's questions answer. So if we've done this all right, and I think we have, now we will also see the selected group. We'll see the answers that are given here. So this could be also on your dashboard or wherever you want to see this information surfaced. So let's preview this and see what we messed up or didn't. All right, we've got our two groups, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Diaz or Gina. Who would win a thumb war? Clearly, the answer is Peralta. Is Holt really that serious? Really? Probably. I'm not certain. Okay. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to save these answers. And great. Now we've got results here. Diaz or Gina, Holt, Robotech. Let's try this. All right. So now I don't have any results, but I do have a new questionnaire down here. Roy or Rick, who's the better leader? Roy, but Rick really grew into that role. Skull Squadron or Vermilion? Come on, what kind of question is that? All right, and whoops, now I'm going to save these results too. Save answers. And there we go. Now we see our results. So you almost certainly wouldn't want to have all of these on the same page, but this is just to kind of demonstrate how you would use your various groups and repeating groups and how you would wire this stuff together. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any comments or questions, please let me know and I will be happy to address those. So thank you much for your time.